now that we are at the halfway point of the season, I think it is time to do my favorite activity. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, which is to tell you who I think the top 5 Heisman contenders are in the sport. I love the Heisman Trophy. I really do. And I love the dudes that win the Heisman Trophy. I really do. I think that Heisman voters are sometimes out of their minds. Now that I've said that, let's start at number 5 and go all the way up to 1. So at number 5, I've got the Martian. The Martian that has made Columbus, Ohio home. That is Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver extraordinaire, number 18 in the scarlet and gray, because that dude is somebody different. If we're going to see a wide receiver become the first to win the Heisman since Devontae Smith, who was the first to do it since Desmond Howard, it's going to be that guy because he is that important to one of the best teams in college football. Again, the best player on the best team in the sport usually wins the Heisman Trophy. He's also on pace for 1,200 receiving yards, 62 catches, and 10 TDs. Dare I say, if he has a game in the game, I'm probably going to be way ahead on that, and nobody's going to remember that I said Marvin Harrison Jr. is a Heisman finalist in October. But you know what? That's why you're here, so you can carry that message forward. Now, number 4 on the list, Drake Maye, North Carolina quarterback. I think that dude's got a really great game that translates to the NFL. And I was slow to this, all right? Like, producer Tyler and I would have it out very early on, just very early on, about I didn't see it with Drake Maye. And he's like, RJ, that dude is probably going to go 2, if not 1, in the NFL draft, right? Caleb Williams had yet to win the Heisman Trophy. You understand what I'm saying here? But Drake Maye's got the goods because he can move it and he can sling it. He's on pace to also be outstanding. That dude's probably going to end up with 3,500 and I think it was 38 TDs and maybe 12 INTs. Like, he's erratic, but erratic in a good way. You will ride or die with him. And now that you got a Marion Hampton rushing for 197 against Miami, you got Tez Walker out there to catch passes for him. It feels like it's within reach for an undefeated North Carolina. Hey, hello, right? Could be North Carolina versus Florida State, undefeated ACC title game, in which case I'm leaning more and more toward Florida State there. Now, number 3 on the list, Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy. I think J.J. is the most important player on a very, very, very deep Michigan football team. And against Indiana in particular, I got to see him do some things that make me believe he ought to be a Heisman candidate. And that is when they were rarely making a mistake or when a play call was about to get them killed, that dude would run away from guys that I know are fast. That dude would make plays with his arm that I know that only a few in this sport and a couple in the NFL can make. You got Donovan Edwards behind Blake Corum. Blake Corum hasn't broken out in the way that we expected him to, but again, he's coming off a knee injury, and you want to get Donovan Edwards more involved. He's also spreading the ball around really well, and he's not doing too much. I don't see JJ doing what he did even last year, which is forcing the football where he shouldn't. He had that one game against Bowling Green State where he threw interceptions, but he hadn't thrown in any sense. He's on pace to be a 3K, 30 TD, ho-hum, 6 INT quarterback. But that's the kind of guy that is a Heisman finalist. Now, he comes up with the goods in a meaningful way against Penn State again, right? And then in a meaningful way against Ohio State. You can see what I'm doing here. Number 2 on the list, Oklahoma quarterback Dillon Gabriel. All right, so this one I had to sit and think about for a while because, again, what do you do in winning time is how I begin judging the Heisman Trophy. Everybody's won football games. Everybody's the best player on their best team. But when the game is on the line, what did you do? Right? What's the quote that George Patton gave? In the Great War, World War II, what did you do? Now, we don't look at OU Texas. I should say you don't look at OU Texas the way I look at OU Texas. I get that. But you have to look at a guy who had to go down the field and go get 6 and see the way he purported himself on that last drive. And again, I go to, you're at the goal line and I'm yelling at the TV, spike the football on this play, spike the football on this play. And that dude took the rush, let it get to him, found Nick Anderson wide open in the end zone like he was standing there the whole time. I get goosebumps thinking about it. That is a Heisman Trophy winner. That's what you do. Now, it's on him to finish the job. Now, he's also on pace to be a 3,600 passing yard dude with 30 total TDs, right? Maybe 6 INTs. Like, the numbers will be the numbers, right? That's the thing. All these guys will have numbers. But will all these guys have moments? Aiden Hutchinson made himself into a Heisman finalist in one game against Ohio State. You're going to need that. And that is exactly what Michael Penix Jr. did against Oregon. That is why he's number one on the list. I asked for this. I said, show me you're a Heisman finalist. And Michael Penix Jr., with his story, his 2 blown ACLs, his being 23 years old, coming back for this season, is once again on pace to finish with 4,400 yards passing, 40 passing TDs, just a handful of INTs. And that dude makes them go in a way that, frankly, it's been a while since I've seen a quarterback be this dominant at the position. Now, he got a lot of help from Dylan Johnson against Oregon. I just did not expect that. But not having Jalen McMillan, needing to get the best out of Giles Jackson, needing to get the best out of Rome Odunze, I got it for 9, man. 9's a dog. I mean, they Huskies, but you get what I'm saying here. I think what he did against Oregon is going to be referenced over and over again for the second half of the season. 22 of 37 for 302, 4 TDs, 1 pick. I mean, he leads the FBS in passing with 2,300 passing yards through 6 games, 20 TDs. There's going to be some competition for him along the way because guys are going to do some outstanding things in the second half when November comes around and we really begin to get to see what these guys are made of in pressure situations. But I don't know that there was more pressured situation than the one we saw Washington, Oregon. Far be it for me to make this, but I'm going to. Washington, Oregon on Saturday was bigger than OU, Texas on Saturday because of its significance to the sport. We knew that Texas was good. We were trying to figure out if Oklahoma was. We know that Oklahoma was good. We knew going into that game that Oregon and Washington were good. We agreed on this. We also knew going into that game that Oregon and Washington were 2 of the 3 best teams in the entire conference, Pac-12, which is the deepest conference and the best conference in the sport right now. We didn't know how the Washington Huskies were going to react to an aggressive Dan Lanning, a guy that, for his faults, wants it as bad as any football coach ever does on a sideline, does everything he can to fire up his guys. And all Kalen DeBoer did was put faith in the Michael Penix Jr., Ryan Grubb, Chuck Morrell, and William Inge, and watch those guys go to work. It is a remarkably cool story. And I would like nothing more than to see Michael Penix Jr. finish it. He's the kind of guy that we think about when we think about college football. Don't know what his NFL career would be or is. But when you know what he has done at Indiana, I remember interviewing him at Big Ten Media Days when he was quarterback at Indiana, and you see what he has fought back from, and you see what it meant to him to bring that win to Seattle, and his parents on the sideline, rushing the field, all of it. That's what the sport is for. So I got him at number 1, and we'll see how this all shakes out. But right now, this is the way I see it, 1 through 5 for our Heisman Trophy contenders. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.